the Fulton County District Attorney basically saying that these 19 people created this criminal enterprise that not only happened here in Georgia, but elsewhere outside of this state. The DA wants a trial within 6 months. She said she doesn't want to be the first or the last to charge or to take Donald Trump to trial regarding his other indictments, but she wants her trial to happen in the next 6 months, and she is asking for all 19 people listed in the indictment tonight to turn themselves in by next Friday. Trace.
I want to bring in Vic Bajaj. Is Vic available? Because you hear this, Vic, and you know, when you think legally, man, oh man, how in the world are you going to get all of these prosecutors from all these different jurisdictions and all these judges to agree on timelines that doesn't look like election interference and try to make sure that this person, who, by the way, is the leading candidate for the GOP, that this person at least has a due diligence and his constitutional right to run for the office of president?
Well, you're exactly right, Trace. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, well, you know what? You know how to fill in the blank. It is a duck. And this is why local elections have such a dramatic impact, especially when we're talking about local state prosecutors. Of course, United States attorneys are appointed by the elected president, but many times local state prosecutors are elected in different counties. And so it doesn't take a rocket scientist, let's say, to come to a conclusion that those similarly situated on the political spectrum would have a unity of goal. And that would be to push as many pieces of litigation, serious crimes and charges, all of which will either be dismissed on a legal basis through a writ, through the local district courts, local superior courts, and surely writs, interlocutory appeals, that means before it actually goes to a verdict at trial, to the state courts. And, you know, if it's not dismissed, these are going to jury trials. So then who goes first? And now we hear a story that, you know, she's not interested in who goes first. Well, why is a grand jury returning an indictment at almost midnight over there in Atlanta? Well, that means they want to be the first to the coffers. They want to get the most impact out of it in a state prosecution, which includes, by the way, most of the allegations that were outlined in Special Counsel Jack Smith's federal indictment. So there are no surprises here other than who may now testify if and when that time for trial comes upon us.
We just got this, Vic. I want to read it, and we'll maybe get some comment from you. Trump's attorney statement. It comes in a statement from Drew Findling, Jennifer Little, and Marissa Goldberg, saying the following, quoting here: "The events that have unfolded today have been shocking and absurd. This one-sided grand jury presentation relied on witnesses who harbor their own personal and political interests, some of whom ran campaigns touting their efforts against the accused and/or profited from book deals and employment opportunities as a result. We look forward to a detailed review of this indictment, which is undoubtedly just as flawed and unconstitutional as this entire process has been." So they're fighting back. The fireworks are underway in a bunch of jurisdictions, but now it's on in Georgia. Your thoughts about this, Vic?
Well, thank goodness these are ripe for jury trials, Trace. Anyone who actually has their finger on the pulse of state or federal trials throughout our nation knows that you can have politics that push indictments, politics that push charges, but when it comes down to the rubber meeting the road, the juries never check their common sense at the door. Some people don't have much faith in jurors. I have infinite faith in jurors. And every jury instruction for every trial throughout the union has one very important rule that jurors must follow. You are entitled to evaluate the testimony presented by witnesses by including a consideration of things such as bias or motive. Well, surely those who are singing for their supper, meaning they have immunity, and they have every incentive to gain a conviction against the main defendants in this case, or those who have political biases. These are individuals who will be ripe for cross-examination, and I have no doubt that former President Trump's legal team, as well as each one of the indicted defense attorneys, will bring that out front and center when the fact-finding needs to occur.
couple of questions on the 19 individuals who were charged in the indictment. We mentioned names like Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell and the like. And I'm wondering if, Vic, if one of these, let's say Kanye West publicist, comes to you and says, Vic, I need your help. I need a defense attorney in this thing. And they all want to try us together. They want to put all 19 of us together. What do we do? What's our first move? And can we have some time for discovering the things that we need?
Well, there's no way that this is going to trial in 6 months. Let me just say that. I would be absolutely floored if any judge in this union would push a defense team, including 19 different defendants in addition to former President Trump, to go forward in 6 months. I mean, we have very simple state offenses that take 2 to 3 years to properly investigate. Not to mention, those are single defendant cases. When you have co-defendant cases, you not only have the ripe opportunity for effective assistance of counsel, where these lawyers are going to have to try to sever the charges and sever the defendants, meaning split the charges. One jury should not hear all the evidence against all these individuals. And here's one particular reason why, Trace. As we know, when you allege a conspiracy, which a RICO charge is essentially a conspiracy, and the almost 41 charges that are levied against all or some of these defendants in this case, alleged conspiracies for theft, for influence, and obstruction of justice, a juror cannot hear a co-defendant's statement in furtherance of that conspiracy. So by its very nature, the way this case has been pled by this district attorney's office will necessitate multiple jurors and multiple juries. So there's no way with these motions for severance, for discovery, for the immunity grants, for everything else that's been recorded and foundationally otherwise, and the need specifically constitutionally for multiple jurors to contemplate these facts, that we're going to see a jury in any way, shape, or form before 6 months comes around. And
lastly, I'm wondering if you have 19 individuals charged in this indictment, Vic. I'm wondering if you think that the strategy by this district attorney is that 1, 2, 3, maybe more flip against the former president, and that's kind of part of your game.
Well, if you're the district attorney, that's absolutely a piece of leverage and a hammer you have to hang over the head of each one of these defendants. Now, of course, when we talk about a federal conspiracy, it's no different than a state conspiracy as we have here. The head honcho, or the jefe, as many prosecutors would say in this indictment, is Donald J. Trump. So everyone underneath who's going to be able to provide a piece of prosecutorial evidence, inculpatory, guilt-ridden evidence against President Trump will get a benefit. Now, usually, we do not have people indicted in an indictment or a complaint, federal or state, when they've already made a deal for immunity. Many times you have charges that are alleged for lesser charges if you have that immunity given, but it strikes me that the deals will be on the table very soon after these individuals have made their appearance on or before August 25th for the booking procedure and when they make their initial appearances. That is a hammer that is very hard to underestimate. And that is because the penalty for these specific RICO charges, as we heard the prosecutor say, do not allow for probation. These are mandatory custody charges, and that's a big weight to hang over someone's shoulders.
Yeah, and very quick, Jeff Paul was just giving me a message here. It's a very good point. What about locations? I mean, what do you do, Vic, when you're talking about, hey, they want to change? I mean, D.C. is very unfriendly to the former president. Miami, more friendly, right? Or Palm Beach County, more friendly to the president. And then you look at Fulton County, maybe not as friendly. And so there's this move and all of these tactical things going forward about where these trials, the change of venues, et cetera. Is that a fair assessment?
It's absolutely fair. You just hit the nail on the head as to one of the preliminary motions that we can predict will be filed, and that is to change venue, not only because of the voter rolls there showing that Trump is not the #1 person or the party that they vote for. We see there that the governor ran on an anti-Trump platform and found himself to be victorious. But let's not forget the allegations specifically. If we look at the indictment and we parse through the theft and perjury and obstruction of justice charges, one may query, Trace, who is the victim? Well, the victim would be any one of the voters who had their votes power stripped away from them. Therefore, the voters and the citizens of Fulton County in Georgia would be the victims. Now, is it fair to have a theft from a juror determined by the juror? The answer would be no, and that's a significant constitutional question that you will see both the district and the Supreme Court there eventually have to deal with.
Yeah, Vic Bajaj, great analysis as always. We thank you, sir, for jumping in and helping us out. Very much appreciated.